it's not the kind of Monday morning we would welcome, because the Jamaica Constabulary Force and the Minister of National Security are trying to get a handle as to what really happened last night after 10 in a district called Commodore in Leinster in St. Catherine. What happened there last night, if you haven't heard yet? 5 people were shot and killed. 5 people, including a child only 4 years old. In total, 8 people were shot in the incident. 8. 5 fatally. And it happened in Commodore. The dead are 4 years old, a 19-year-old, a 22-year-old, a 32-year-old, and a 42-year-old. It's also understood that an 11-year-old is being treated in hospital. Not much else is known. We are aware that the Minister of National Security is on his way there. So too we. So too the head of the St. Catherine North Police. And we understand that the incident may be an act of reprisal. Yes, maybe an act of reprisal. Yeah? The Prime Minister has said the following on his Instagram page. He says, the Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of National Security and Peace, Dr. Horace Chang, strongly condemns the brutal and senseless attack that took place in Commodore, Linstead, St. Catherine in the night of Sunday, October 5. According to what the Prime Minister says, this act of violence is nothing short of reprehensible. The deliberate disregard for human life, especially the life of an innocent child, strikes at the very core of our humanity. Our hearts go out to the grieving families and the community now reeling from this unimaginable loss. In fact, the Deputy Prime Minister said that. Quoting the Deputy Prime Minister, this is being intensely investigated and the criminals will be relentlessly pursued, apprehended and prosecuted. I have every confidence that the police will bring them to justice. We will not rest until accountability is secured. I call on every citizen to stand united against violence. According to Dr. Chang, we must not allow fear or lawlessness to define our communities. Each of us has a role to play in protecting our children, our families, and our future. Yes? And as I said, I gather that the Security Minister is on his way there. We are hoping to get more from his visit because we're told that they will address members of the media gathering there this morning. Yeah? What the news, it's been quite a while since we have been, since we have heard of a mass shooting. Yeah? It's been quite a while. And in this incident last night, men, it is said, who shouted that there were police. Yeah? And opened fire 8 people, shooting 8 people, 5 fatally. Yeah? That's what we have so far. The 5, 4, 19, 22, 32, and 42 years old. And an 11-year-old in hospital, yeah, struggling, and seriously injured. We gather. We're going to take a break and come back with more. The issue of constitutional reform continues to be contentious. On Friday, we got word from the opposition leader, Mark Golding, through a letter he sent to the Prime Minister, essentially urging the Prime Minister to sit with him to make another go at this unfinished, prolonged business of constitutional reform. And this was in response to a letter he had received from the Prime Minister urging them to get going on this matter. That letter from the Prime Minister was not made public, but it was based on the Prime Minister's public urging of Mark Golding at his swearing-in ceremony some weeks ago. In that moment, Prime Minister Holness urged Mark Golding to let the two of them join together to work this out, to make another go at it. And Mark Golding took umbrage to the fact that the Prime Minister, in reaching out to him, Mr. Golding, said that he should begin talks with the Minister of Justice and Constitutional Affairs, Delroy Chuck. Essentially, Mr. Golding said no. He thought the better route to go was for them two to sit down and hammer out their positions before going to the minister. And I see that has sparked a political row with some people accusing Mr. Golding of trying to continue what they feel is a slight of the Prime Minister. And of course, others take a different view. You know, this matter of constitutional reform, if it were not for the very tribal nature of the politics, we could have made a lot more progress on it. Because frankly, it just needs some maturity. Some maturity. Based on what has to be done and what is needed to be done in terms of parliamentary support, no one political party can get this thing done or moved forward. It's a point that a number of the elders, including former Prime Ministers Golding and Pattison, have said. And it's a reality. The structure is such that whether you have a 2/3 majority in the lower house, as the JLP had up until September 3, you're still going to need the support of the opposition because you don't have that 2/3 majority in the Senate. And what this requires is for, and I'm going to be bold to say, 4 of our leaders, 4 men: Prime Minister Andrew Holness, Opposition Leader Mark Golding, former Prime Ministers P.J. Pattison and Bruce Golding. What do I mean by that? clearly, the relationship between Golding and Holness is so characterized by a lack of trust, a lack of confidence, bitterness, especially coming out of the elections a couple of weeks ago, where Holness and his people are clearly hurt, and have good reasons to be hurt, by the kind of vicious personal attacks that Golding led against Holness. And you saw in the debate where Holness shot back at Golding, calling him a liar. So there's that acrimony between the Prime Minister and the leader of the opposition. So it's clearly very difficult for both men to trust each other. Yes? There's no trust there, or very little trust there. And left up to the two of them, I don't think we're going to make much progress. And that's where Golding and Pattison come in. But Golding and Pattison can take it upon themselves to invite themselves to play a conciliatory role, a role that could bring the two protagonists, Holness and Golding, to the table. And that's what is needed. That is what is needed. I don't know, probably there are two other persons or some other person who enjoys the trust and confidence and standing of the Prime Minister and the opposition leader who could do it. But clearly, they're not going to be able to do it by themselves. You get the impression that they virtually dislike each other to the point where they don't want to be in the same room. Yeah? And it is a problem because, you know, Westminster that we have inherited from the Brits, one of its necessary hallmarks to do well, to perform well, is what they call a matter of honor and trust in the UK, where all matters of state are conducted as a matter of honor by honorable men and women. We have long lost that to a great extent. And that is why this morning I'm asking that certainly the Prime Minister, the opposition leader, should probably reach out to the two former Prime Ministers, Golding and Pattison, to play a conciliatory role, to bring them together, at least get them talking with each other, and then move it to what are the issues that separate them, what are their objectives, key objectives. You know, when I was growing up in the 70s and the 80s, during the height of that intensely political and ideological period of the 70s and the early 80s, I gather that then it was Michael Manley versus Edward Seaga. And you know how that went. The rivalry couldn't be more intense. But that period of Manley and Seaga had a man like Hugh Shearer. Hugh Shearer was a Labourite, of course, former Prime Minister from the Labour Party, trade union leader. But he was a very, very close friend of Michael Manley, who enjoyed the confidence of Mr. Manley. And he played this kind of role that I'm now suggesting for Pattison and Golding. Yeah? When Seaga and Michael couldn't even bear to exchange words, Shearer would be the go-between. And Shearer would play that role. Who do we have now? Unless there's somebody else that I don't know. But I think Pattison could command that in the leadership of the PNP, and Golding similarly for the JLP. That's what we need now, to get them talking. What do you think? Outside of that, I see G2K, the president of the Cornwall Bar Association. Nothing else is going to make sense. Yeah? I see a story in the Gleaner this morning, St. Jess, of no moment. Yeah? The two leaders have to sit down, and we need to get them in a room and to start build the trust and confidence. 25 minutes after 10. I see where the Minister of Labour and Social Security, Pernell Charles, is warning Jamaicans that job recruitment scams are on the increase, and we should be very careful, yeah, about these scams that are now proliferating, offering all kinds of jobs and whatever. Be careful about them, he says.
Yes, there has certainly been an increase in the number of job recruitment scams that we've seen this year compared to last year. This is reflected in the rise of illegal agencies that have emerged, mainly recruiting online, where they can hide behind various videos and photos that they'll put up. And they can offer non-existent job opportunities that seem very attractive, though they are simply empty lies. So a comparison of 2024 and 2025 calendar years show that 27 illegal entities offered job opportunities between January to December of 2024, while we saw uptick to 43 illegal agencies in 2025 being identified between January to September of this year.
Minister Charles says the government will never ask job seekers to send money up front in order to secure employment.
What we have realized as red flags is that scammers normally request monies upfront to be sent to a personal bank account, and this is a no-no. That's a glaring red flag. We don't request any money, and most employment agencies that are legitimate will not request any money upfront. Secondly, these scammers operate without having any physical space from which they operate. So they may say to you, meet us here, or meet us at some place that is well known, because they don't have a physical office space. Thirdly, they offer farm work jobs, which that again should be an immediate indication it is a scam, because only the Ministry of Labour and Social Security is authorized to recruit.
Minister Charles says most scams involve telling people that the so-called agency can secure employment for them on the government's farm work program or in hotels abroad.
Only the Ministry of Labour and Social Security can place you on any farm work that is agricultural. Secondly, when it comes on to H2B, which includes jobs like housekeeping, servers, cooks, hotel clerks, lifeguards, caregivers, they lure persons in by giving them details and giving them the impression that they have credibility. So they'll say to you, you're going to be leaving by X date, and give you a specific date, they give you a specific number of persons that are going to be traveling with you, which season, they tell you that the spaces are limited, and because of all of those things, you have to pay some money over to them so that they can make sure that you are in the listing. That is a red flag.
A red flag. Yeah? So be careful. Yeah? Don't give any money to these people, because that's what they want. These so-called fees. Don't give them a dime. Yeah? Tell them when me get the job, yeah, me get my first pay, you get your fee. Yeah? And see how them run left you. Anytime them ask you for the fee up front, so when me get the work, yeah, and me get the first pay, you can get your fee. Yeah? All right. Just before we go to the next break, I've been sent something via WhatsApp. This person urging me. But I want to know if this is so. Let me read what the listener says. He says, "Good morning, sir. I want you to comment on something for me this morning. Why are most JUTC bus drivers refusing to wear their seatbelts while driving these big heavy units with passengers? The police need to start ticketing them. Thanks in advance." Is that so? JUTC bus drivers don't wear their seatbelts as a routine? I'm not sure if that is so. I must, you tell me. Yeah? Because why would they not wear their seatbelts? Yeah? All right. Let's go to the break. The issue of the trust, where Mark Golding is concerned and Prime Minister Holness on this matter of constitutional reform, has set off a fierce debate in our YouTube community. And I'm going to read you some of the reactions because I think they tell part of the story. The challenge facing us when there's so little trust and confidence. Yeah? And the challenge facing the Prime Minister and the government, whose job it is to get things done. The Prime Minister and the government can continue to act and be up in their feelings because them not trust Mark or Mark a liar after them call him thief. The Prime Minister and the government have no such luxury. They have a job to do. And what has worked for Andrew Holness so far is the fact that he has kept his head down despite the vicious attacks on him and get things done. So some of you who are up in your feelings and, ranting, your job is not to govern. Your job is to support or criticize. His job is to govern. And governing means getting things done. So at the end of the time, you can say, we have delivered on this. So here's a snapshot of some of the reactions I'm getting. This is from someone who WhatsApped me. There was no Minister of Constitutional Affairs then. I suppose he was talking about the 1970s, 80s. Really? Holness simply told Mark to meet with the Minister of Constitutional Affairs. If he disagreed, he could have said so without going public. Yes. His explanation for that is Golding, that the Prime Minister had publicly said, let us work together. And that is why he's making it public. Not compelling. Yeah? But the point is, he went public and now we have this row. Because people are up in their feelings because Mark dissed the Prime Minister at the swearing in where he didn't stand while others around him stood. Yes, the attacks he led against the Prime Minister, the Prime Minister's supporters are up in arms, and I can understand that. Yes. You can understand that. But the point to be made on this year Monday morning, into the third term, the Prime Minister can't have the luxury of being up in his feelings. He has to get things done, and constitutional reform is one of the big ticket items that is unfinished. Listen to some of these comments. Yeah? And it tells you the challenge facing the Prime Minister. Yeah? Makisha J. Mark can't be trusted. Yeah? Roger Shippey. I have not seen once where Mark Golding proved his love for Jamaica and Jamaicans. Patrick Rowe says something which is not factually correct, so I'm not going to read that. Marlene Hutchinson says, Andrew, please hold your ground. Show Mark Golding that you are the Prime Minister. Denzel M. says the PM not meeting Bakra. He need to go, oh liar man. Eh? Here's another one. Corinne, the opposition leader needs to understand and learn from the consequences of his actions, like we all do, so it guides his future actions. Minister Chuck is responsible for constitutional affairs. Mark Golding is a bot on Jamaica, says Margaret G. I bet he can't hold his space for 5 years. And it goes in that vein. But Prime Minister Holness can't govern like that, you hear? When you're governor, you have to take blows, give blows, but you have to get the job done. Okay? Now, to what happened in Commodore, Linstead, St. Catherine, our reporter Mahiri Stewart is there. Mahiri, good morning.
Good morning, Cliff. Good morning, listeners.
Tell us exactly where are you and what have you learned?
I am in Commodore, St. Catherine. Heavy police presence here as is expected given the shooting last night. And Cliff, I'll be completely real with you. You know the normal procedure when we reporters come out to scenes like this is to talk to the people to get a feel of how the place is. But it's a ghost town here, Cliff. You could hear a pin drop in Commodore. Everybody's inside. You barely see anybody walking around. I barely have anybody to even talk to, right? But I'm here at the scene, and it's a small house, small yellow house, and there's a shop right beside it that's obviously closed right now. And beside the house that the police are currently scouring is a basic school and a training center, and a church is on the opposite side of the road. So it seems in theory to be a place that is relatively peaceful. I managed to speak to just one person since I've come here. Only one person was willing to speak so far, and he's a 45-year-old man. He says he's lived around the area his whole life, and he can't tell me much about what happened on the night, but he says that he does. Some of the deceased are people he knows pretty well. So he says he can't remember a time in the recent memory where something like this has happened around here. But yeah, it's a very, very quiet, very somber feeling right now in Commodore.
Where in St. Catherine North is it?
Yeah, so when Natalie Nita Garvey is going to the win, what's this? Yeah, North Central St. Catherine. It's not too far from Linstead, you know. I mean, after we came off of the toll, after we came off of the North-South Highway toll, it was a hop, skip, and jump away. It was right here, not far away at all. There's a sign, as a matter of fact, that says, "Welcome to Commodore." It's pretty difficult to miss, especially with the police presence nearby. So, yeah, it is near Bog Walk, that kind of side. Yes.
And this man with whom you spoke, did he hear anything? Did he see anything?
No, he says he wasn't around when the shooting happened, but obviously after being informed of what took place and who, he did confirm to us that he knows some of the deceased.
Are they all from one family? Do you know?
That we're still trying to get through. I mean, obviously the police are a bit tight-lipped right now as they're continuing the investigation, but the person I spoke to didn't want to get too much into detail where that was concerned in terms of who they are, but he did tell me that He knows them quite well.
Yeah. So the shooting, just repeat for me, the shooting took place in a particular yard.
Yes, it appears so. I can't say for sure it happened in a yard, but I know for a fact that there's a house in front of me. The police, by themselves, no media allowed, are inside scouring the area right now. So I'm almost positive this is where the shooting took place. And even while I was standing near, I was hearing a bit of hearsay saying that there's normally there's a bar, as I said earlier, a bar shop right beside the house, and I did hear that they normally have, gambling, drinking, all that kind of stuff out at the front of it. So it could be a situation where, that is what was taking place at the time of the shooting, but again, that's nothing I can confirm at the moment. I know Minister Horace Chang isn't here yet. He is supposed to be here later at some point. I believe he's at Cabinet right now, and then he'll be here soon. So we'll be awaiting his arrival, but that's what I can report to you right now in terms of Commodore. Very somber, very quiet, lots of concerned folks.
Just repeat for us, Mahiri, your description of the house.
Yes, I did actually. I don't know if they can put it up. I did share in the group a video of what I'm seeing. There's we're going to be showing that
where Nora and our technical operator are working on that to put up any second now. Yeah? And but in the meantime...
Yeah, but for the listeners that aren't on YouTube, it's a very small house. Zinc roof, yellow painting on the front of it. The rest of it is clearly unfinished. The front
we have the video going up now.
Right, there we go. So for those following along, yeah.
So it's a yellow concrete house.
Yes,
is it?
Yes.
With a zinc roof and zinc fencing around it. Yeah?
So no proper gate, and if you're looking at the video now, looping, you'll see the shop that I was referring to right beside it. That's obviously closed now. So that's where I was told that a lot of people tend to congregate, whether it's to buy or to play a game. So it's believed that's probably what was taking place at the time of the shooting. So, which adds up given how many people, were shot.
Yeah. And we see members, those are members of the security forces, the constabulary forces.
Yes, as well as JDF members as well. There's a soldier present here as well. I forgot to mention that earlier.
It seems like they're crime scene investigators. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. But nobody, so do you know whether people are in the house with the security forces inside or not?
I've only seen security forces on the grounds. I haven't seen any other residents, any other civilians. The few people I've seen are walking past, looking straight ahead, not even trying to see what's going on. People seem very concerned. And I say people lightly because I've not seen many at all.
Yeah. But that's the situation. The members of the security forces are there in strong numbers in Commodore as they begin their initial investigations as to what happened last night. Yes, we are hearing, and I put it no stronger than that, that based on what is being said by all sources, it could be an act of reprisal for the activities of a well-known criminal wanted by the St. Catherine North Police. Yes, that's what we're being told, that all members of, or several of the 5 who were killed, apparently some of them are members of his family, and they were killed in an act of reprisal for his actions in that part of St. Catherine and surrounding areas. Yeah, but stick with it. If you can get a member of the security forces, the lead investigator, to have a word with us, Mahiri, please do so.
Can do, and as I hear your description of the events, it kind of brings me back to the last major shooting that we've had. It sounds like pretty similar circumstances with both, no? With Cherry Tree Lane?
Yes. Thank you, Mahiri Stewart. On location at the scene of a mass murder last night in Jamaica after 10. Commodore District in Linstead in northern St. Catherine. 8 people were shot, 5 fatally, including a 4-year-old. Yes, and it is now occupying the attention of the constabulary force. Time for the break. We have some more video now of the crime scene at Commodore last night. If you're watching us on our YouTube channel, there it is, the inside of the yard of the house. It is a concrete house painted yellow. Yeah, you'll see that the front painted, to the side not painted, the exposed concrete blocks. And that was where death was visited upon 5 people last night in Commodore Northern St. Catherine. Yes, and the place is now crawling with the police investigators. Mahiri Stewart is on location, not seeing anyone just yet to speak with. And of course, you can imagine people are very, very tight-lipped about what may have happened last night. Yes, must be fearful about their own lives because, clearly these gunmen, we're told, were very well armed with high-powered weapons and would have driven fear. Yes, sometimes I hear people talking about crime in Jamaica and totally being ignorant of the kind of criminals we have in this country who don't hesitate for a moment to kill, to turn their weapons on Jamaicans, including members of the security forces. Yes, they are not children playing. How do you go into a place like this on the screen now and you just shoot people, including a 4-year-old, an 11-year-old? Yeah? That is the kind of dog-hearted criminals we have. And we must never lose sight of that. But we are awaiting more from the leadership of the police division as to the motive. Is there any truth to what we are learning, that it's an act of reprisal for a well-known wanted criminal in that part of St. Catherine, and that several of those who were shot last night were members of his family? That is what we are learning. Yeah. As soon as we hear more from the police high command there and the Minister of National Security, we are going to bring that to you.